Another thing I want to discuss with you today is increment and decrement operators. And what they do is really simple. So for example, int I equal to 5. And what an increment or decrement operator does, it either increases the value by 1 or decreases the value by 1. And how do you write it? Well, I++ will increase the value by 1. So let's say over here we print I, yeah, and it should print 6, right? It says increase it by 1. 6. Well, now let's try to decrease it by 1. And now it should print 5. There's also other ways to do it, like for example minus I, and same thing with plus I. I'll not try plus I here since it's almost the same. Minus I. Okay, well, what's the difference though? Like, why are there two ways of writing, like minus I and I minus, or like I++ and plus I? Well, first of all, I'll tell you what they're called. So where the operators are after the operands. The operands are the things we perform operations on. So if operators are after them, that's called postfix notation. And if they're before, they're called prefix notations. It's simple. Post and pre. Pretty logical. After that, there's still one difference between these two. You see, I++, as I told you before, it first returns the variable and then it adds to it. So for example, if I would write something like, so let's just say I equal to 5. Also, as you see over here, since I already declared, I wrote int I once, I don't need to write int I anymore. I think if I write int I, it will give me an error. You see? Error. Duplicate local variable I. Because I created such a variable. So I just want to change this variable value, so that's what I do. I just want to create it so that we know what exactly it is. So it's more visual. And now, let's write I++. Well, what do you think will the variable be? Surprisingly enough, it will not add the value 1. But you see, if now after this line I write I, it does add. Well, that's because the first thing that happens is, if I is in the beginning, it returns this value. So first, anything that happens to this value is going to happen to this I value. And only after the operation has been performed will a value be, like 1, be added to it. And in case of I++, I, which is the prefix notation, it's exactly the opposite. It first adds 1, you see, 6. It first adds 1, and then only it works with the variable. Okay. You play around with it and it will be much easier to understand the concept.